This customer lost a lot of money to an incompetent tech. They replaced parts that were unnecessary and it didn't even fix it. What's wrong with this Chevy Colorado? Let's find out. This is a 2022 Chevy Colorado, and it's in here because it was stalling. They were traveling through the Kansas City area on their way through a road trip, and it would stall on them. Sometimes it wouldn't start. They stopped at a shop in the Kansas City area and got robbed. They basically got robbed. It's a really sad situation. This is where they did the parts cannon and tried this and tried that, and it didn't work. And finally the customer limped it here and got it to Omega to find the true solution. This one has quite a bit of miles on it. Even though it is a 2022, it's fairly new. It's crossing the 100,000 mile mark. Let's take a look around this thing, then we're going to dive into what really was wrong with this Colorado. We can see on the grill it is the Z71 package. These do look nice, but as we go around to the side, it's interesting to note that this is a mid-size or a small pickup now, and it's the size of a GMT 400 pickup. It's really crazy. We're not going to find too many dings or scratches, I don't think, because it's so new. It's in really pretty good shape. As we come around to the back, you can see it is the V6. It has the 3.6 in it. And around the side, it does have the running boards or steps on there that I believe are aftermarket. It looks like they're made by Dedro or Edro or something like that. But otherwise, this thing's in pretty good shape. Let's go ahead and hop under the hood. Here we have our 3.6 V6. I would remove this cover, but it's part of the intake assembly and I don't want to tear it all apart. There's no reason to. There's nothing that needs to be replaced or looked at in that area. There is quite a bit of room around in the front since we don't have fans on the front of engines as much anymore. They're electric fans. There is plenty of space for activities. You can get in there and do serpentine belts or tensioners. Radiators pretty easy to get to. Now this is the 3.6 V6, and the early ones, 2010, 2011, 2012, those ones were trash. It seems like they've fixed possibly the newer ones, 2022, 21, 2019. Again, I can't vouch for 24 and 5 and 6 vehicles because most of those are just junk. They're really bad. In fact, I have a quick little update for you guys. I just saw on Facebook that the federal government has actually put out an investigation against General Motors because the 6.2 V8s they have are so trashy and so garbage, they're failing so much that's even caught the eye of the government. They're like, what the hell's going on here? Why are they failing so bad? So no, I can't really recommend brand new cars, but it's sad. This one, like I mentioned, it seems like they might have fixed some of the timing chain issues and other failures. Again, you still want to keep up on the oil changes to keep everything happy. But nothing in the engine bay needed to be replaced. Let's let Mrs. Wizard give you guys a tour of a 2022 Colorado interior.
Wizard's right. This thing has 119,500 miles. Wow, that is quite a few miles to put on a car, but this person does live in western Kansas and they probably need to drive to, well, more civilized areas in the state or other states to get what they need. But I love this gauge cluster. I love that blue background. I like that it's easy to read, not too hard to read either, so very crisp, very clear to read. As we look up, you'll see the dash. It's looking good. Maybe a little dust, but nothing crazy going on. Of course, we've got more gray and gray because gray is a very common color for dashes. Nice infotainment screen, very easy to use. Got normal features we're used to seeing. We've got Android, we've got Apple connections. Yep, what we're used to seeing. Got a very big cell phone holder there, looking ready to grab a hold of it. HVAC controls behind that. We've got our gear selector. As we get to our center console here, very easy to lift up, just kind of springs open there. You can see it bounces up. Just got a few little things in there, a few wrappers, your receipts. Oh, and a doggy biscuit. See, well, he's got a few items on here. He's got his work gloves, because again, this is probably being used for at least a little bit of working on with this many miles, but looking good, but lots of charcoal gray everywhere we see, door card included. Now we know why we got the doggy biscuit in the center console. Yep, doggy goes with him. And there's the doggy's nest back there with that nice little protected area, keeping the seats nice and clean. Can't see what's beneath them, but you know, it's a bench seat in the back. So technically this is a 5-seat vehicle. Headliner, looking good. Fido is not jumping up and around, he's getting back to his area. Let's hit that steering wheel. Got normal buttons on the sides, got that Chevy bow tie in the center. Everything is looking really good in here because, again, it's only a couple of years old. So let's get this up in the air and see what it looks like on the underneath and see what was the parts canon and what did they replace that didn't even need it.
So we're definitely past the years of trucks having nice heavy steel bumpers that's just all plastic. Everything's plastic anymore. But I do like that the skid plate is made out of metal, unlike some of the newer vehicles today. Actually made that out of metal. I don't see any leaking from the radiator or anything going on there. I do see right here on the oil pan possibly a rear main seal leak. I'll let the customer know about that. But with 120,000 miles almost, I'm not surprised with a GM product. You don't see that, however, on a Lexus or a Toyota. I've mentioned many times we get a 200,000 or 300,000 mile Toyota in, no leaks nowhere, and I've made the comment that wouldn't be the case on an American car. And there you go. Let's take a look at these brakes. So brakes are about 50% remaining. CV boots are good. Shocks are not blown or struts. And let's see, the sway bar, if I can find it, right here, is not loose. Nothing loose there either. 50% on the brakes. CV boots are good. Sway bar is good, and the strut is not blown. Everything's good there. We'll check our front shaft here. Everything's good. We do see that the wind or air is blowing oil onto the transmission, but the transmission itself is not leaking. Transfer case is not leaking either. It has a nice metal skid plate. Again, I'm happy to see that. We have a nice cross member here. It's just a pipe. I do like to see also that this charcoal canister is up out of the way, and if anything were to come along and try to hit it, it would hit this bar first. Our fuel tank is there. It doesn't have any kind of skid plates or anything on it. Here's our 2-in-1 exhaust. Big beefy drive shaft. Nothing loose on the U-joints. Differential is not leaking. Our brakes are about 50% on the rear. The shock is not blown. Good old leaf springs. They've been using leaf springs for over 100 years, and we're still using them in 2022. They work. Brakes are 50% here. Shock is not blown. There's no sway bar on this really, so everything looks good on the rear suspension. Our rear tire has air. Everything looks good. Let's check the date codes on the tires. So on this tire, we have 11 of 18, even though this is a 2022 vehicle. And regardless of whether that makes sense or not, we can see that it's almost bald in the center here. So those tires are at the end of the life. But if we go to the other side, this one's not 2018. This is 36th week of 2023. But it's a little bald as well. It's not as bad as the other side, but then it gets weirder. Let's go to the front. 2 of 25. These are about a year old, and they've got lots of tread left. And the other front is also a 25 tire as well. I'm not sure what's going on, but very likely they're buying one tire at a time as they go bad. And I get it, because tires are expensive now. They're not $50 or $60 anymore. They're $250 and $300 and $400 a tire. So I get it, it's expensive. So let's get this thing on the ground. We'll let them know about the rear ones. Let's talk about what's wrong with this truck. That left this customer stranded, and it's still leaving them stranded, even after the previous shop worked on it. He took it to a shop while he's traveling in the Kansas City area, and they did some checking and found what they believe that had melted alternator wires and also a bad alternator. That's what they thought was causing the stalling and the no starting. So let me show you guys where that's located at. So you can see it has a brand new alternator, new belt and everything. All that has been replaced. It's all brand new. We did inspect underneath the alternator and checked all the wiring. We didn't find anything melted. It looks stock, like it's never been tampered or even messed with. Nothing is melted. Nothing's gotten hot. In order to rule out that it's truly not a charging system issue, we did do a lot of road testing, verify that it's charging. Everything's doing what it's supposed to do, but it did stall a couple of times. So let's play the game. What could be wrong with this vehicle? Obviously, it's not the alternator. What could cause this to stall or have some no-start issues where it cranks but it won't start? Is it something to do with the fuel system, number one? Number two, is it a bad mass airflow sensor? Or is it three, the ECM's dying? You guys can post in the comments what you think it is. Now we're going to dive into what's really wrong with this vehicle. So like I mentioned, we verified the alternator is fine. It's putting out 14 volts, roughly 13 volts, 13.8, 14.2 all the time. It did have some low voltage codes in it, which we're going to get to that here in a minute. And that's because someone disconnected the battery and put a new alternator in. That's what that's from. But we're going to get my CRP123, which is a very simple, very basic scan tool, and it found the problem. Daniel's son checked this over. He found what it was immediately. Let's take a look. So this is not some $5,000 professional tool. This is something we actually have listed in our Amazon affiliate link in the description below. It's just your basic code reader. Anybody could have looked up these codes. Here's what we have. Fuel pump A low flow performance. So when we were looking at that code, did we see anything mentioning about the charging system or the alternator? No. What about a mass airflow sensor? No. What about ECM internal failure or something like that? Nope. Specifically, the low pressure fuel pump, which is located in the tank. It does have a high pressure pump. That one's doing fine. But it says the low pressure pump is failing. Now we've done some pressure tests, we've hooked up some gauges and went and road tested it and verified. When this thing would start to stall or stumble, the fuel pressure on the low pressure side would drop way down to like 20 psi, almost zero at times. And you could kind of hear the pump making weird noises. The high pressure pump, as long as it was getting fuel, it did what it's supposed to do. So it's not up here in the engine, it's in the fuel tank. So we have verified, in fact, this whole problem all along has always been a fuel pump failing. It has nothing to do with melted wires or an alternator. Those are parts cannon guesses. That's what those are. And this customer bought parts that were unnecessary to get them back on the road, and it didn't even fix anything. In fact, it stalled again, and the customer called the shop and said, hey, it's doing the same thing it was doing even before you worked on it. And they said, we don't do the thing here. We find out exactly what's going on with your car. Now we know exactly what it is. We've called the customer, and he was like, oh, it's the fuel pump. Yeah. He approved the repairs, and we're going to get a new one ordered and get it installed. The stalling and the cranking no start issue will be gone. And anyone who's a professional in a certain industry, they always dislike people who give them a bad name. Because the experience this customer had could have them lose faith in mechanics. And even the CEO of Ford even mentioned in an article that I read that there is a shortage of qualified, certified, knowledgeable, know what they're doing technicians in the country, all over the country. And if that's the case, when you take your car to get it worked on, keep that in mind. Out of the 5, 6, 7 people they have working there, how many of them are really knowledgeable and know exactly what they're doing? As this customer found out at the shop that they went to, they did not know what they're doing. And this customer lost over $500 for nothing. I've heard a lot of people say mechanics today are just computer readers, part changers. They don't know what they're doing. They're just reading computers and replacing parts. Whoever worked on this last couldn't even do that right. You just have to plug in the scan tool. Fuel pump performance. Fuel pump is failing. And then they would have had something to go on, something to test. Apparently they didn't even read the codes. They didn't even look. So the car's here, like I mentioned, it's going to get fixed right. But I definitely wanted to get a video out to you guys to show you once you find that trusted shop. And sometimes you're on the road, you don't have a choice, I get it. Make sure you stick with them, because I've actually had customers price shop. You know, I found a good shop, they do good work, but this guy down the road's cheaper, so I'm going to try him out. And then they screw up the car really bad, and the guy who knows what they're doing has to fix the original problem and the last guy's problem, which makes the price even higher than it ever could have been. You don't want to get ripped off, but you don't want to always go to the cheapest one available either. So if you're curious what kind of tools we use in this shop, just like the CRP123, I call it the crap 123, even though it's not crap, it's a really good tool. They're all listed for sale in our Amazon affiliates link in the description below. All the tools I use every day that are tried and true are listed, and you can purchase them, and if you do, we get a small cut and really appreciate it. They're professional level tools. And also, before you go, make sure to hit the subscribe button because we have many more good videos to come that helps you guys out. Also, hit the notification bell before you leave. Thanks for watching.